everybody, how's it going? It's Jamie, the crafty DIY guy. I'm back and I've got some DIY home decor items for you today that I'm super excited about. What is cool about these, one, it ain't Christmas stuff. And also, it is a collection of like very high-end looking DIYs that don't cost a lot of money. I've done some Kirkland's dupes in this video. I've done some Dollar Tree DIYs. I've done some Thrift Flips and a few things from like Amazon and the hardware store. And there's 4 projects in this video, so I'm super excited about those. If you are one of my long-term subscribers, one of my OGs, that just means old gang, old gangster, old friends, the old buddies, your ride or dies. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. If you're one of my newbies, don't worry, you'll get to OG status soon enough. And also, I appreciate you guys being here. If you're brand new to the channel, maybe YouTube just recommended you. Thank you, YouTube. And I hope you'll enjoy today's projects. I'm super excited about them, which means you may not like them. But I love them, so I'm happy about them, and I hope that you will also like them also. I just said also like 3 times, but you know what I mean. All right, let's get into the video.
All right, everyone, and for my first DIY today, we are going to be doing a dupe of this Kirkland's pen holder. I saw this and immediately loved it, but did not love that $90 price point. I knew that I could easily recreate it with 4 of these Dollar Tree Crafter Square pen holders. If you're not able to find these, you could certainly use these small drawers. What I would do is just kind of flip them upside down, remove that drawer, and then you'll see they're just a little bit shorter, but they would work also just as well. Now, the great thing about Dollar Tree, of course, is the price point, but sometimes you can get some things that aren't exactly the same size, especially with something like this that you're trying to create. So go ahead and just kind of play around with it and then figure out which ones you're going to use. And then I'm going to take these 2 outside and spray paint them, and then I'm going to have 2 of them that I'm going to be using my antiquing wax on. And what I'm doing is just applying it using one of those makeup sponges, and I'm going with the grain of the wood. That's really important because these Crafter Square blocks are, they've got a really cool kind of wood grain to them, honestly. And if you do it with the grain, you'll notice that once you start wiping that excess antiquing wax off of there with the grain as well, you can see how those beautiful lines and those colors really start to develop. And I love the way this looks. I did go ahead and paint the inside of mine as well because I wanted them to have a high-end look. Now, I didn't film me spray painting the ones black, but as you can see, they're spray painted black. And now we're going to start gluing together our boxes. Now, to mimic the Kirkland's dupe, I'm going to be doing mine in a square. However, if you wanted to make these rectangular, that is really up to you. Now, the other tip that I will give you is that when you are dealing with these boxes that may not always be the perfect size or the exact same size, flip them upside down. And when you do that, you're going to make sure that you have a nice flat kind of top surface, if you will. The cool thing about these is that you can always add little felt tips or pads or something to the bottom of this to make this more even. I would rather have a very high-end look and have everything nice and flat at the top. I'm going to add some Surebonder wood glue to these and just glue the first 2 pieces together like so. And then I'm going to kind of flip that to the back and move it out of my way so I can add some more of this Surebonder wood glue to my box here, and then just hold these together and make sure that everything is glued together nice and tight. And then once that's all set, then I'm going to take my foursome and we're going to glue those together as well. Once again, just kind of lining them up, making sure that we're nice and flat, adding a generous helping of my wood glue from Surebonder and gluing these together to make sure that they have the perfect hold so I can use this as a desk accessory. And then once everything is dry, flip it over and you've got a very high-end look that saved you about $86. And it is super cool. I love the way this looks. It holds a lot of different pens and pencils and markers and such, and it is the perfect addition to my desk. And for my next project, we're going to be using 4 of these signs that I picked up from Kroger, believe it or not. Kroger is my local grocery store, and these are wood. These are like solid wood. And I want to say I paid less than $1, or maybe they were $2 each. That's not less than $1, but you know what I mean. And then I had these Amazon letters that I grabbed. They are 5-inch letters, and I will link these below. I had enough to spell out the word kitchen, and I thought that this would be a cool gift for a friend of mine. So the first thing I did was just glue my blocks together end to end. And literally all I'm doing is gluing those together with my Sure Bonder wood glue. And then I'm going to add some stir sticks that I just kind of cut down. And it's really just to give it some additional stability. There's not much else to that. Once everything dried, I flipped it over on its side, and it looks something like this. For my letters, obviously, I have some here that were used from a previous project, but it's fine. I'm going to be spray painting all of this anyway. I'm making sure that everything is lining up properly. And by the way, those 4 blocks equals about 30 inches in total length. So if you wanted to recreate this, you easily could by just having a piece of board or something that was at least 30 inches. So I started with the K on the one end, and then I'm going to start with my N on the end of my sign. And I'm doing that just so I make sure that I have proper spacing. And then as you can see here, I'm going to start kind of working with the C in the middle and then gluing the letters kind of out from the C then. That way I have a pretty even, or at least equally even spaced. I took everything outside and I'm spray painting it now just with a flat black. I'm going to make this kind of very modern looking, if you will. And then once everything has dried, I took it inside. Now, this is displayed on my bar. It's actually too big for my kitchen, and my kitchen's a little messy, to be honest. But I wanted you to be able to see how this looks before I pass it on to a friend of mine. I do love the way this looks. I think that you could very easily hang this on the wall as well, and maybe add some hooks on the bottom of it. I think it'd be great for hanging aprons or maybe even some lightweight utensils. I think that there's a lot of versatility with it, and it's just super cool. Now, my next project is actually going to be a recycle. I picked up these vases at a thrift store. They were $1.25 each, and I really did love the shape of them. The color wasn't exactly within the color scheme of my house, or at least what I'm kind of going for. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a low grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to kind of go over the vases a little bit. This is really just to help remove any of the, dust or grime from them sitting around, and then also kind of to help remove some of that shiny coating that is sometimes on these. I'm going to be spray painting these with this Rust-Oleum metallic oil rubbed bronze spray paint that I really love so much. And literally, I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm not taping them off. I'm not doing any kind of thing like that because I just want these to look like 2 bronze vases. And as you can see, I'm just going over with a coat of spray paint. I literally only had to do 1 coat of spray paint, and I love the way that these look. This is what they look like inside on the bookshelf in my home. And again, super happy with the way these look. I think that they're super elegant looking and just very cool. And for my last DIY, I'm going to be creating one of those weighted poster frames at the top and at the bottom of this map. This is a cloth map that I purchased on Amazon. It was around $15. It's huge, and I really like the way it looks in my guest bedroom, but I needed to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So I went to my local hardware store and I bought some trim pieces. These are about 100 inches long, and I cut both of them down to 60 inches, which is the width of that map. I used this dark Kona wood stain, trying to film with one hand, and this is what the wood boards looked like when they were done. I thought they were absolutely gorgeous. And then I took this inside and started to assemble the map on the frame. And then to attach those boards, I'm just going to use my Sure Bonder staple gun here. All I'm going to do is literally just take this map and use that blue kind of hem mark as my guide. And I'm going to be stapling this down directly to the trim. My staples are short enough that it's not going to be an issue with my piece of wood here. So just make sure that you don't have any super long staples. And then once I did the top, I just flipped this over and I'm going to repeat the process on the bottom. Now the bottom, I am going to give it a little bit more room on the board itself. I'm stapling more of the fabric to that board because it is weighted, and if you don't do that, it's not going to hang properly. So I'm also taking now some nautical rope. I flipped it back over and went back to the top, by the way. And I'm just going to add a knot on the end of that nautical rope. And then I'm just going to staple this down on the end of the board, kind of like so. And then what I am going to do is repeat the process on the other end of it. And for the rope length itself, you're only going to use about the same length of the entire width of the rod. So it's about 60 inches. And you just don't want a big, long piece of rope here. The idea of this is that the hanging piece or the rope that it's hanging from is not a very long rope. You'll see what I mean once it's hanging on the wall. And when it's all done, this is what it looks like hanging on the wall in my office/guest bedroom. I really love the way that this looks. I think it looks super high-end and very cool. And it definitely elevated that typical tapestry that was just kind of thumbtacked onto the wall. I do have a steamer coming, by the way, so if you're thinking, oh my God, it's so wrinkled, just know that I do have that steamer coming from Amazon, and I should have it in a couple days. It's a kind of a cool handheld steamer. I'll link that one below for you too. And then also, if you're noticing that lamp that's in that upper right-hand corner, that lamp was inspired by a DIYer by the name of McKenna. She actually made this on her channel, and I made it about a year ago on my channel and gave her full credit. But again, as you can see, it is one of these projects that I love so much. I've kept it throughout the year, and it is now going to be in my guest bedroom. I will link her channel below, and if you do go and check out her channel, please give her a heads up that the Crafty DIY guy sent you. I love this. It is such a cool, chic touch to my office guest bedroom.